And tonight we got a great movie. It's called Airheads, circa 1993, star-studded cast. But let me set the foreground for you folks. A would-be up-and-coming band consisting of Brendan Fraser, Steve Buscemi, and Adam Sandler, fresh off the heels of SNL. They realize that they're not going to get anywhere touring the jam session club scene in outer greater Los Angeles. So they want to heckle the would be K whatever KYZX KXY KKRP whatever the radio station is.
Too many K's, buddy. Too
Sorry,
many
you're right.
K's.
Sorry.
A lot of
Play
Ks.
to play their song. So they realize like they're not going to do it. So they break in one day, and then they hold up the station with guns, and then hilarity ensues. Chris Farley, Michael McKean, who's the DJ? Christ, I should have had this up.
Joe Montana.
Joe Montana,
It is
Michael
Joe
Richards, a la Kramer from Frasier, Ernie Hudson.
Or Seinfeld.
Sorry, what did I say? From Kramer? Yes, from
From
Seinfeld.
Frasier.
Yes.
Ernie.
Christ, David Arquette. The list goes on and on. Anyway, oh yeah, Judd Nelson. Sorry, as Jimmy Wing, the station manager. So
Yeah.
finally, they're able to. Well, they blow up their quarter inch because they don't have it in the station. They have to wheel one out. They're able to find the cassette to play their demo. They gets it done. They have hostages. Everything, they don't get the record deal. They end up playing in the jail that they get after they get arrested. Have I set the scene? Have I set
You've
the
set
scene
more
for a
than the scene. You just did like the entire cereal box version of the movie.
Yeah.
Wasn't that
was
what I'm
wrong.
supposed to do? What do you
No.
Oh.
No. Just to summarize, you got these three juggalos who are trying to get themselves a music deal. They can't seem to break through. No one will hear their music for them. If they just knew, a la Boogie Nights and Mark Wahlberg, if someone would just listen to it, we'd have a record deal. And they find a way to get the music to the people and win over the hearts and minds of the public.
And you know how they do find a way. Water guns that look like guns.
Which was
'Cause, you know-
actually a problem in the early 90s.
That's correct. That is correct. You know what else was also a problem? Every now and then, if you were a musician who was trying to play a demo for someone who might sign you, you might not have a CD or cassette, but you might be carrying around a quarter inch, which is a reel to reel. And then that right there, if you guys, Mur, did you watch the movie? Alan, did you watch it?
Yeah, I watched it last night.
I did not watch it last night, but I've seen it plenty of times.
Some of the verbiage when they insult each other they call each other dick face, dick fuck, ass shit a lot. Early 90s. Beavis and Butthead prank call the station. If you remember the hat.
I was going to bring that up too, and he sends somebody on their way. Have just get out of here and you can get home before the Simpsons. And I'm like, holy shit! As old as this movie is, both of these references, the Beavis and Butthead and the Simpsons reference, are somehow still quasi-relevant.
Yeah.
That's right. The late great Chris Farley, who plays a security guard, as you mentioned, Murr, early on, has to go and find. Makes a great. I hate to call it a cameo. He's got something like 20, 25 lines in there.
Well, he's a rookie cop. He's trying to play things by the book, and his commanding officer is like, sometimes you got to improvise. And he rips that guy's nipple ring out, and he says, "What are you doing? Improvising."
That's right. A couple of things that I noticed as I rewatched it. Do you realize do you remember the scene when they're making requests for things? They just start ordering random shit to then later on that they could plead insanity. Remember this? They're just coming up with requests.
Yeah, a football helmet filled with cottage cheese
Yeah.
and nonsense like that.
Nude pictures of B. Arthur. I didn't realize this, Alan, when I was pledging in the fraternity that we're both in, during our scavenger hunt night, someone requested that. And I always was like, why did he say nude pictures of B. Arthur? And just watching it last night, I was like, oh, I missed that. I've seen this movie 1,000 times. And I nude pictures of B. Arthur. Of course, the, what's her face from Golden Years. So
Golden Girls.
Golden Years. She was in Frasier. She made a cameo in Frasier. 29% on Rotten Tomatoes.
I know. I'm looking at this, and 50% audience score. Now, my whole reasoning for watching it was I looked up the score, and because you said it was a good bad movie, I was like, "There's no way this is like bad from any critical standpoint. I watched this last night, and some of the shit we've talked about as far as good, bad movies are concerned. I mean, Alan did fucking Chairman of the Board from a Carrot Top movie.
I know.
Completely earned its fucking ranking. This, to me, was just a solid, entertaining movie. Like, nothing more, nothing less. It wasn't trying... I almost feel like when you rank something like this, did you expect it to win an Oscar? Like, the critics who reviewed this, like, did you think it was going to be nominated for anything other than entertaining? Like,
No.
There's nothing wrong with this movie. In fact, I found it to be very clever. I felt there were several, like, plot twists that you weren't expecting. I mean, he was just simply going to the radio station. They were just trying to break in to go, like, say, hey, can you play our demo for us? And then things went squirrely. Everything, it was kind of like that perfect storm. Oops, I still have these water guns filled with hot sauce in my book bag. Ooh, bring that out. Uh-oh, hostage situation. Blobbity, 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 blah. On down the line. It was just a good, solid, entertaining, sophomore-ish kind of movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. And a couple things that I know. Michael McKean, Milo. Such a great schmuck name.
Milo, yeah, it's a terrible name.
But of course, he's the big thing is he's without telling any of the employees that the station's going to soft the sounds of the rain. Everyone's getting fired. Another thing, when Joe Mantegna, Ian, the disc jockey, who's kind of bulletproof, he thinks that the reason you have ratings is because of me. He asked them about their tattoos, and Brendan Fraser's like, yeah, I got this barbed wire. I thought that was good, Murr, that you enjoy that. Another great one. Do you remember when Michael Richards' character, ends up contacting and I don't even know, Ernie Hudson's character, they had the authority, but it was the other, like, SWAT team that was trying to, like, trying to get in there.
Yeah.
And it was, I think the Ranger Rick Sargent who wanted to overthrow the LAPD or whatever. He ends up getting contacted with him. He's like, you're going to be my guy on the inside. Do you have any experience? He goes like, oh, yeah, I was in the Merchant Marine. It's like, all right, Marine, good.
Yeah, he could only half hear him. So he only was able to pause on, like, the most important words, but he didn't flip out and go full on until he heard that Adam Sandler was a pool boy whom his wife had an affair with a pool boy, which is why he went in full bore. That's the only reason he flipped the script on it. And by the way, Michael Richards, full-on physical comedy in that movie. I think when I first saw it, I was like, okay, that's kind of cheesy. But then after seeing it this time, like, that's a 40-some-year-old Michael Richards. I don't know if I could squirrel around the floor like that. Like, that was
I don't know if that was a stunt man, but that fall out of the air duct, that's legit. That's like an 8-foot drop, man. If that was a stunt man, kudos to that guy, because his fucking back is fucked for life.
Okay, but as far as the plot of the movie, Wes, why don't you give us a breakdown as, okay, where would you rate it in, okay, why don't you update the thermometer, if you will? Like, where would you rank it? Like, would you certify it fresh? What percentage would you give it?
Like, hold on. What do you mean by certify it fresh?
Okay, well, like on Rotten Tomatoes, like, you have certified fresh movies.
No, it's okay. If I'm basing this Rotten Tomatoes style, I would rank this, and I believe I would compare this to a Detroit Rock City, which I think is like a 71, 72. Like, listen, this isn't going to win Academies. I'm not blown away by this. I understand the laughs, but an 18, come on. This is like much more quality laughs. Hey, I was trying to think of this actually had I don't know if Christ, was it? Not Workaholics, damn it. Office Space stole the joke, but in the beginning of the movie, Michael McKean is telling Michael Richards' character, like, yeah, I'm going to need you to come in. Like, oh, yeah, I got some things going on. Like, I'm going to need you to come in on Saturday. Yeah, I can clear some things out. And Sunday. Do you love this station? Yeah, I love this station. I'll be here. And remember in Office Space, It's like, yeah, you got to come in all weekend. So I would, again, I just think the writing of it is really well done. Is it great? No, but 71. We'll go a clean C plus movie.
Okay, I was going to give it a 75. Alan, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think those are right in that ballpark. We'll split the difference and give her a 73, right? Like
Perfect.
Yeah, it's just it's a quality. It's none of their best film, but like it's got a bunch of fucking familiar names, some good dialogue, yeah, and some good shithousery.
What would you compare it to? Okay, because there's other movies of this ilk that exist that people say, "Oh, that's a great movie, man." Like a Saving Silverman. Like I would say it's almost in the same category.
I said Detroit Rock City.
I don't know Detroit Rock City.
Ooh, you gotta watch it, man.
Kind of works too.
If we're going by Rotten Tomatoes, I can't call that a good bad movie, but I would say watch Detroit Rock City.
Okay.
Well, look, the you might also like on Rotten Tomatoes is kind of crazy, but I'm kind of here for it. Like Police Academy 2, right? Look, this is just what's here. Blank Man, which is a phenomenal fucking film. Fucking Dracula Dead and Loving It. I think that's the Leslie Nielsen Dracula.
That was written by Mel Brooks.
Yeah. Coneheads. Classic.
Great movie. Yeah.
Yeah, and Pootie Tang, also classic.
Oh, damn, yeah. Okay. Now, I would say I would rank this higher than Coneheads, actually. And I enjoy Coneheads, but I feel like Coneheads is a very specific genre for a very specific sect of people that exist.
That's fair.
Okay. But and I also want to also highlight, like, when this movie was made, radio was still king. So especially for somebody like me who came from radio, it's like it could make you or break you. And it was also becoming corporatized, and that whole like secrecy, we're flipping the format, we're going to do this overnight on a Sunday, Monday morning you're going to wake up to something that never existed before, and we're going to pretend that thing that didn't exist ever. Like that's how that industry was, and why it's a
crazy
dead format now.
And another thing I found peculiar is that Adam Sandler's character Pip, while he kind of fit the mold of a lot of Adam Sandler characters, especially when Steve Buscemi's character is trying to toughen him up. He's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna put my dick in your mouth, make it bleed out your ears.
I'm gonna stab you with what? My dick."
Yeah. But he, about 3 or 4 times in the movie, he tries to like break racial relations weirdly.
Yes.
The two, he's like, I don't understand, black people don't like me.
But the payoff was the guy, the militant black guy who worked at the station that tried to fix the reel-to-reel. Like, eventually when they take the hostages out of the station, the cops end up roughing him up by the van.
That's right. They let David Arquette go, and that is, that's right. Well, Airheads, everyone, check it out. 1993. Again, your socks aren't going to be knocked off, but few laughs, few enjoyable. That's another thing, Murr, when you talked about it. When radio is king, does it withstand the test of time? For people like, say, someone who's 25, would they get the same shock value out of it?
I think if they're watching it knowing it's a film of quote unquote nostalgia, then they'll get it. Like they'll get it. Also, but I feel like what was a current theme was the notoriety that they were getting from this kind of like guerrilla marketing campaign that was going on. I actually thought that Judd Nelson is squirrely and like just dripping with like greasy scum that he was 100% onto something. Like, this record's going to be gold and no one's heard a song. Sign the deal. He was right 100%, and he's right by today's standards more than he was right by 1993 standards. Like that, they drew all the people down to the station because there was this controversy and yada yada yada. They kept the mic on. The other thing that rang true for me is like, hey man, you've got all this great music. Why don't you play any of it? It's like, oh well, it's not the hits. It's not the hits because you won't play it.
Right.
like that's a theme that continues to this day. Is
'Cause
that
no one knows it, babe. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. No one knows it because you won't show it to them. There's so much great shit out there. The internet has even the playing field for most of the world in most areas of entertainment, which is why all of your streaming services have like exploded
Yeah.
and your movie theaters have died.
There was also a pretty good like while Joe Mantegna's character and the band, for the most part, got along. There is kind of an interesting headbutt of opinions about music. You know, even in the midst of like you think they're friends and they're like, yeah, their shit sucks. Like, are you kidding? Like today's music doesn't really ring loud. Like, and then it's interesting while in a hostile situation that they're sitting there shooting the rap about their opinions about music, which they love.
Sure, but one is writing music that he feels is from his heart, and the one's telling him it's not. Whereas
Well,
the other one's like, yeah, I mean,
The Lone Rangers. Not
that's
exactly
a great
alone.
band name. I stand by that. I stand by that for all the right and wrong reasons. The Lone Rangers. We can't exactly be. How's it plural if it's lone? Like,
Well,
who
that's the Lone
cares?
Rangers.
Fuck yeah, that's a great band.
I
The one,
I was reading somebody's fucking like fan and critic reviews, and this one just got me. And any movie where David Arquette is just hanging out in the background for a majority of the runtime is good in my book.
by the way, the one thing I took away from this after it was over is that this movie is ripe for a 30-year-old sequel where they've now become the band they always wanted to be and are now on the downslide and yada, 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 like a Bill and Ted kind of thing.
That would
Good
cost
point.
a lot of money. I think.
And now you've got Academy Award winner Brendan Fraser. And then you've also got Adam Sandler, who was the last guy on the bill for those three, is now the top dog.
Mm-hmm.
Steve Buscemi still right in the middle, exactly where he was.
Yep.
And yeah. And now you make that fucking movie, and you make a shit ton of money off of assholes like us who have nostalgia attached to this fucking film.
The only one that's dead is Farley, as far as I know.
Yeah, but he wasn't even a main player.
That's right. Oh, and I'm going to leave you on this one. Another thing that I thought was funny is that the blatant domestic dispute in which Brendan Fraser, Chaz, or Chet's girlfriend, Kayla, just beats the shit out of him from top to bottom all over the movie. Punches him, kicks him in the dick, smashes him with things, and it's just like, yeah, Chet's kind of a verbally abusive boyfriend, so Kayla takes matters into his own hands. No big deal. It just
And it
turned up.
wasn't.
It's part of the comedy.
Till all these activists got involved.
Chet put up with it because Kayla was a hot blonde that he
Yeah.
loved. Yeah.
He was kind of a shitbag. I mean,
Yeah,
you
call
know.
total. God. Kidding? Worked hard. Airheads, everyone. Check it out.